All right, here we are. Another round to Cinema Town.
Oh, what are you drinking there?
Hot cafe, as they say in
Hot coffee.
your homeland, Brazil. Hot cafe.
Hot coffee.
Hot cafe.
Yeah, that's
Muy
what they
fuego. Muy fuego cafe. Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. Hey, did we record the last episode in the new year? I don't think we did we?
No.
No. So,
No way,
hey,
because
Happy
it's...
New Year.
Yes. Happy New Year. Good tidings.
Yeah, we bring.
Good tidings. Yeah. It's been a crazy year so far.
Tell me about it.
Okay. Yeah.
No, don't tell me about it.
I've been in quarantine for half of it. So.
That's true.
Oh, yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah. One would say. All those with ADHD love quarantine. Without ADHD. With ADHD, hate it. I go insane.
I mean, I'm used to it.
Do you have ADHD?
No. I'm used to just like I'm used to just staying home.
You work from home.
Not doing anything.
Yeah.
Not anymore, but yeah.
That's true. That's true. Hey,
I guess half.
Half and half. Half and half. Every other weekend. What do you think about trilogies?
Depends which one we're talking about.
That's my question. Which one is the best?
Which is the best trilogy? That's so vague.
Is it?
I mean,
yeah. Why? What do you think is the best
so many
trilogy?
Options. That's so hard. That's too hard.
I have a hard time with things like that because, first of all, you can't count the Star Wars trilogies separately.
Right.
So Star Wars is out of the running. Now it's a saga. It doesn't count as a trilogy
I was going to say the
anymore.
same thing about like
Alien.
Yeah.
You can't count Alien as a trilogy because it was and now it's not.
You can count The Godfather.
Yep. Yeah. So
because they haven't made they were going to make a fourth one, but they never did.
Indiana Jones, you can't count it now because it's a saga. But you can count like Alien.
Can you count Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit separately?
No. Yes, absolutely. Because they're separate. Yeah, they're separate book series.
Okay, but like if a movie's not based on a book, like Star Wars, for example, why doesn't that count?
Because Star Wars has numbered them all to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
That's true.
And Lord of the Rings didn't do that. Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Star Wars kept the same name all through 9 of them. There's 9 Star Wars now instead of just 3. And then,
but if that's the case, I don't know if you can consider The Hobbit a trilogy because it's based off of one book.
Yeah, but no, you can't. We're not counting the book series. I'm just saying,
okay, fair.
It's a separate story. You know?
Yeah, I don't know about that. You can count the
here we go. Trilogies.
Before trilogies.
Yep, before 3
trilogies.
colors.
Trilogy. 3 colors. I've only seen Red. I haven't seen the other 2.
What else? Shoot.
That's it?
Yeah. No, The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight is a trilogy.
Okay.
X-Men? No.
No, yeah, see, you're getting into like, I don't know.
That's a tough one.
It's tough.
Anyway.
I think I'm going to...
I digress. Neil Blomkamp, that's a trilogy.
I want to come back to you with my answer next week. Or the next episode.
What are you gonna marinate on it for 2 weeks?
Yeah, I'm gonna really look into trilogies and see what I.
Are you gonna watch everything? That sounds like something you'd do.
No, I probably have already watched most of them. So.
Well, you haven't seen any of the 3 color movies except for Red. Have you seen the before movies? You've seen all of them, right?
All of the ones that I have seen were Red.
I gotcha. All right. Well, if I had to make a educated decision on what the best trilogy is, I don't think I'd be able to decide right now. Closing your eyes on me? Are you exasperated by me?
No.
You are. And the viewers know it. You close your eyes like, oh, when is this dummy going to shut his stupid mouth?
Hey, you mentioned that you watched a couple movies this week. What were they?
Oh, dude, I've watched a lot.
So, I know, because you've been home quarantined.
I watched Pieces of a Woman 2 nights ago.
Okay.
And that's that new Netflix.
Right. I just heard about it yesterday.
Yeah. Okay. So I watched that and I told my wife this. I have never been so emotionally captivated by just a sequence, a film sequence. Like, So in Pieces
The
of
entire film sequence?
No,
or?
in Pieces of a Woman, before the title sequence rolls, it's like 40 minutes. So the first,
that's cool.
Yeah, and it's like the first 40 minutes is Vanessa Kirby's character's labor sequence.
Love her.
And it's like it's almost as if it's all one shot. It's obviously not, but the way it makes you feel as if you're watching a 40-minute period of like 40 minutes
her
before
life.
She gives birth. No, 40 minutes before she gives birth and up to
right, but
the
that's
point.
like her life.
Yeah.
Her life. Yeah.
Incredible. And it's like, it's one of those where you almost stop breathing because you're like, you're so enraptured by what's happening. You know what I mean? Like you can't think about anything else except for what's going on. Really, really good.
And then you watched Metalhead. No, not Metalhead. I
Yes.
think it used to be called Metalhead before it was made.
No, it was going to be made as Metalhead, but it was like an actual documentary.
Right.
And then when it became like a biopic, for lack of a better word, they changed the name of it or whatever. But dude, that is super good.
I haven't watched it. I didn't hear about it until you posted about it in your story the other day.
I think it resonates a lot more for me, especially right now because I'm quarantining. It's like such a profound picture of like being okay in stillness and like understanding that you don't need anything to be happy. Like nothing is deserved and nothing is earned. Everything that you have is a privilege, but also being okay with like soaking in the idea of having nothing, like being stripped of everything. And like I have a problem with not doing anything, like with just being still and just focusing and you know, meditating, for lack of a better word. And that film is focused on that. Like he goes to this home, for lack of a better word, of
there's like a lot of lack of better words here.
Yeah. Well, you know, I haven't really soaked in, you know, the better words to say. Okay. So right now I'm just filling in with the lack ofs. But he goes to this like home, this asylum for like hard of hearing people, not necessarily deaf, but people who are just hard of hearing. And his activity that he's given is, you know, you're going to be put in this room with a piece of paper and a pen and yourself. And I want you to be still. And then when you can't be still anymore, write. And then when you're so tired of writing that you can't come up with anything else to write, be still again. Like write until you're okay with being still again. So it's like coming to terms with the fact that you have no audible stimulus, you know? So what kind of mental stimulus can you come up with in those times that you're being focused? It's profound, I think, is a really good word for it. It's a really, I don't know, it's a really raw clarity is like one of the words that comes to mind when I think about the experience that I had. It's like really, I don't know, it's transparent, it's raw, it's pure, it's really good.
Correct me if I'm wrong, it's Riz Ahmed, right? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah.
He's great. Oh
my gosh. Really, really good.
Yeah, I haven't seen this, but first time I saw,
Nightcrawler, dude.
No. First time I noticed him was, I probably watched Nightcrawler before I watched this, but I didn't notice him in Nightcrawler too much. First time I noticed him was in the HBO series The Night Before, I think it's called, where he plays a young kid who goes to jail for. Oh. It's really good. You should watch that. Everybody should watch that. It's really good.
Yeah. I'll have to check that out.
Sobering.
Sobering's a very good word for this one too. Sobering. Yeah.
There you go. That's a better word.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really good. I got a list going. Like I'm gonna watch another round tonight with Mads Mikkelsen. It looks pretty good.
It looks really interesting to me.
Yeah. I'll have to check that out.
I want to watch that for sure, but it kind of sucks that like this whole situation with COVID happened because like most of these movies would have been out last year because these are all movies from 2020. Right. They would have been out, easy to like watch, and I think the only way to watch those movies before their release dates is either VOD now or like festivals. which
right.
I have no way of getting into. But the one that's been really intriguing to me is Nomadland. I can't wait to watch that.
Yeah, we can't get it on anything yet.
Right, it's coming out in February, I think, in theaters. So I'm
out
really excited to watch that.
A lot of other countries on VOD already. Like that, Saint Maud has already come out in a lot of places already on VOD, which is one that I'm really excited about. It's the newest A24 horror, so I'm like amped on that.
Sounds like you.
So that's one that I'm like super stoked about, but like I see everyone talking about it. Like all these accounts that we follow on Instagram talk about these films that they've seen already and how awesome they are. But it's stuff that we just can't.
I haven't been able to watch yet.
Yeah. So
it's really like infuriating to me.
Did you watch Soul, right?
I haven't yet. No.
Oh my gosh. So
I don't have Disney Plus yet. I've been holding off on Disney Plus.
Super good. Oh,
but I think we're gonna get it this month just because I've been wanting to watch Soul. I've been seeing it's in so many people's like top 10, top 5 list of last year, and I'm like, I have to watch this stuff.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good.
Yeah. Last night, me and my wife went to watch Promising Young Women.
Yeah.
With Carey Mulligan.
Yep.
So good.
Is it?
Really, really good. Really good. It's like a dark satire, like comedy. It's interesting. It's funny because I didn't know it was going to be a comedy. So as I walked in and sat down and started watching it, it was like I didn't know where to like level myself. You know, like as I was watching it, I was like, is this a comedy or is it like playing it straight? You know, like I was trying to like figure it out. So it took a few minutes, but pretty much off the bat, it's shot incredibly well. It's such a beautiful picture. I feel like you can take so many stills out of this and just like print them out if you wanted to.
Really?
They're really, really, really gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how Pieces of a Woman are. It's it's like really, really well shot.
Yeah.
One of the downfalls of that movie is the first 40 minutes is so enrapturing that after that, everything kind of seems bland a little bit. You know, like the concept is the first half is her loss and the second half is her fallout from that, you know?
Right.
And it just doesn't hit as hard after the title sequence rolls because before that hit so hard, you know? Like if the whole thing had been like, the second half, it would have been really good, but because you had that to hold a candle to from the beginning, it was kind of like everything. But after that, the scenes that we see and the elements and the environments that they're in and the way everything is shot is just it's so good. It's so well done.
Yeah, I'm interested in watching that for sure. I'm also interested in there's this Denzel Washington movie coming out with
The Little Things, baby.
The Little Things with Jared Leto.
Yeah,
it was funny. I watched the trailer last night on when we were waiting for Promising Young Women, and Jared Leto came up on screen, and I didn't recognize him.
Yeah,
and like it took like 3 times him coming up, and I was like, "Is that Jared Leto?"
Yeah, dude, it's so funny because this is like the most normal thing for him.
His hair's this. That's what I was gonna say. Like he's playing a character that I feel like I've seen him do before.
Yeah,
he's playing. His hair looks the same. His beard looks the same. He all looks the same. But there's something about him that just looks off.
You know what it is?
I don't know what it is.
I'll tell you what it is. It's the fact that he looks normal. Like his face isn't covered in white paint, his hair's not dyed green, he's not playing a blind character that runs some massive corporation. What else? He hasn't gained 50 pounds for chapter 13 or 23 or whatever that movie he played was. He hasn't lost 1,000 pounds for Requiem for a Dream or whatever. Like he looks normal, and that's something we don't see very often.
Yeah, so that's that. But that one looks like it's a solid piece of like acting.
Yeah,
all across the board.
That comes out soon too for us. I think it's in the next couple of weeks here.
Is it? I didn't see the date when it came up. I just don't remember it. But yeah, there's that, and then there's an Amy Adams movie coming out with I think oh man, what's her name? I forgot her name now. I think it's Julie something.
Amy Adams.
Amy Adams plays like she's got some kind of like mental disease where like she can't be in open spaces, or maybe she's a germaphobe or something. I can't remember, but basically she sees like a murder from across the street, in New York and through her window, and but like there's something going on, some kind of conspiracy.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I can't remember the name. Yeah, I can't remember anything. It was supposed to come out last year, but because of everything, it's been delayed.
She's like she's afraid to leave her house.
Right. Yeah. That's it. It's interesting because I read about it last year when I saw a poster for it. I looked into it, and apparently it's based on the book of this guy who is it was his first novel, and he wrote under a pen name, I think. And he apparently, to sell the book across interviews, he came up with a bunch of bullshit stories about his life, saying that like his mom died of cancer and all this stuff, and then turns out all of it was a lie.
Oh my god!
This guy like made up a bunch of crap just to like sell his book, basically. But
did it work though?
Yeah, I mean the book sold. It was a #1 bestseller. The movie, he got the rights.
Whatever you have to do, I'm in. Like, more power to him. You know what I mean?
Man. There's an interesting movie that came out with what's the name of that comedian actress who? Oh shoot, I'm not gonna remember her name now, but she played. I can't even remember something she was in anymore.
Oh my gosh,
this is gonna be pointless.
What's the movie called? Do you have that?
I don't remember.
Very nice. I'm excited to see it.
Yep. But it's basically she's like plays it's a biopic about this woman who did the same thing. She would like steal similar, right? She would steal other people's writing and plagiarize it as if it was like an old piece of paper she found from like in an antique store or whatever she bought and then sold for like I don't know how much money. Like played it off as if like it was an old piece of paper from the 1800s, 1700s, written a letter, you know, and stuff like that. So, and it was all like fake.
Wow.
It's interesting. But I don't remember her name.
Did you ever see that? Did you ever see that movie with, you got me thinking about it now. It's who's the guy? It's not Gregory Peck, is it? The guy from The King's Speech? It is.
Yeah. Is it?
No, it's the guy, not Colin Firth, but the other guy. His speech mentor.
Speech dude.
Anyway,
dude, I'm like bad with names today.
Yeah,
I don't know
what's going on with us, but
the dude in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, he was
Caribbean.
The Caribbean.
Caribbean.
He played this auctioneer. And he was auctioning this house, and in the house was living this woman who lived in like a secret room.
Oh no, I don't know about this.
It's super good.
It sounds interesting.
I can't remember what it was called, but then he fell in love with this young girl, like she's in her teens or early 20s, and he's like his age. You know what I mean? Jeffrey Rush. Yep, that's his name. That's not what the movie's called, but Jeffrey Rush.
For a second, I thought you were talking about Woman of Gold, but that's not. He's not in that at all. I think that's Helen Mirren and Ryan Reynolds.
What got me thinking about this was I was thinking about that new one that Jeffrey Rush or that it's Sir Ian McKellen.
Ian McKellen, yeah. I watched that one. I liked it.
So it's got kind of the same vibes. Like Jeffrey Rush's definitely. Character has the same vibe as that. Anyway,
the Ian McKellen one with the Helen Mirren,
a secret lie or whatever, a good liar,
I don't know, something like that. Yeah,
the greatest lie ever,
the greatest story ever told.
Yeah,
no,
Legend
I don't remember the
Vance.
Yeah, hey, that's a good one.
Yeah,
that's
Shia LaBeouf is in Pieces
I think that's
of a
underrated.
Woman. It's unrated.
Oh, is no underrated. Is he in Pieces of a Woman?
Yeah. Spectacular.
Yeah, whatever happened to him, huh?
Not lately. Everything. That's
what I'm saying. Like I haven't really.
He was in
Honey Boy was the last thing I remember.
Ridgemont High table read, and then he was in.
Oh yeah.
And then he was in Pieces of a Woman, and he was really good in Pieces of a Woman. Wow.
Yeah. I still have to watch Peanut Butter Falcon. Dude, we are like over 20 minutes, I'm sure, at this point. We
have you guys ever heard of La La Land?
La La Land?
Anyway, so today we're talking about La La Land, right?
And everything else.
Yes.
I heard
that the laws in La La Land actually stand for Los Angeles twice. Los Angeles Land.
Really?
No. Okay. But it would make sense because the film is based in Los Angeles.
Anyway. Yeah, that makes sense.
So you know a little bit of a story about La La Land, like about Damien Chazelle's starts to this, right?
I mean, isn't it sort of a little bit based off of like his directorial debut that he did with?
But I mean, how he got to
on a park bench,
how he got to funding or picking up a production company with the Whiplash false start, you know?
Apparently, he had La La Land for a while and wanted to do it, but the way he wanted to do it, nobody was going to fund it for a director of his caliber or what people perceived his caliber to be at, right?
Yeah.
So he made, and then the same thing happened with Whiplash. He wanted to make Whiplash, but couldn't get funding, so he made a short story, like a short film version of Whiplash.
Right.
Got funding for Whiplash, made Whiplash. That was a huge critical success.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was like a financial success, but it was definitely a critical success, and rightly so.
Right.
And then got funding for La La Land. So yeah, a long way coming to get to La La Land.
So he and Justin Hurwitz were actually college roommates.
Yeah.
So
that's so crazy that these two, they're so crazy. Young.
Yeah.
They're so young.
It's crazy.
I mean, when the film came out, I think they were both like in their 30s, 31, something like that.
Right at the
when
threshold
the
of 30.
Out, yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. And we're talking about La La Land, right?
I just turned 30.
How old are you, Jwow?
I'm 30, and I don't know what I'm doing with my life. Freaking Chazelle is making these masterpieces, and here I am making a podcast with my best friend.
Yeah, I know, exactly. You're at the lowest of the lows, and he's at the highest of the highs. You have no further lower to go. You're stuck with me.
I mean, definitely we can go lower.
Hey, you and I are actually modern day Chazelle and Hurwitz, college roommates.
In a way, we were never college roommates.
Now we're We weren't.
We were never college roommates.
I mean, we kind of were.
Close.
We slept more in the office than we did.
That's true.
In our dormitories.
That's true.
Or didn't sleep more because we.
Tell me what you were saying about Hurwitz.
Oh, yeah. So they were actually college roommates, and Damien Chazelle's college career, because they both started in music school, and somehow both of them ended up in film school. But his musical career,
God, that totally makes sense with
it was
Chazelle.
Right. It was like, I think you're right, and it makes a lot of sense too that all of his films, even First Man, have such a musical cadence to them.
Right.
Like,
I was gonna say
his film style is so rhythmic.
Right. Definitely, for sure.
And
it's interesting to me that First Man is the only film that's doesn't have like heavy themes of music.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're totally right about that.
Yeah. It's like a. Yeah, it's like a. Yeah. Yep.
It definitely has like a cadence. I see what you mean.
And that could be the way that his partnership with Justin Hurwitz works, in the way that the music and the film are made in tandem. You know what I mean? Like, so often one's made prior to the other, and then like a film is scored to the pre-cut, or the film is made to the score. You know what I mean? Or whatever. But so Whiplash was based off of his like musical experience.
Yeah.
I just think that's so cool. La La Land was based off of an experience that he had in a relationship that fizzled because of like his movement into his career, you know? It's such a, even for people like us, I feel like Damien Chazelle and Justin Hurwitz are such like down to earth versions of filmmakers that people admire of today, you know? Like, it's hard to relate to somebody like Scorsese because so many people hold him up on this ivory throne, you know? Like, he is like,
rightfully so.
Right. He is like a godlike filmmaker. Damien Chazelle and Justin Hurwitz are as well, but they're so much more palatable. Like, I feel like I can understand where they come from as filmmakers, because it's not too far off from where we come from. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And their films are so much more approachable and relatable. Like, obviously I can relate to things like Casino and Cape Fear really well. But when I think about like Whiplash and La La Land, it's so much more palatable. Like, I can imagine myself in scenarios like that.
It's very, I think down to earth is a good way to put it. Not only are they so down to earth, their films are as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I love this movie. But I have such a hate relationship with it, and it's got nothing to do with the movie itself.
What has it got to do with?
It's got everything to do with like the time it came out, like when it came out, I feel like everybody was so on board with this movie, rightfully so. Like it's a great movie.
What else came out that year? Moonlight, La La Land. I only can think of those two off the top of my head because
those two are the ones coming to mind because of the whole crapshoot that happened in the Oscars. But
I know other stuff came out too.
Yeah, I can't think of it right now. But what I'm saying is, it's not so much to do with like the year itself. It's more to do with like how people reacted to La La Land when it came out. Everybody was like, "This is incredible." Everybody loved this movie, rightfully so. Again, but I felt so quickly the magic of it wore out on me because of conversations I would get in with people. Because like I love movies, I love film, I love talking about them and all that. And I felt like every conversation I would get in with film, whoever was in that conversation would end up being like, "Yeah, but have you seen La La Land yet?" It's like, I've had this conversation a million times. Yeah. And I'm just so over this movie at this point. Like that's where I was. And I think even today, whenever La La Land comes up, I still get that like urge to like kick back right away just because of that. Just because it was like months and months, like half the year after it was released, it was just like everybody praising La La Land. And like, when La La Land didn't win and they accidentally brought La La Land up, people were like upset that it didn't win. Well, you know, like it was just like so infuriating to me.
People were excited for a little bit of a change in like a Best Picture winner, you know, because that's
not really, because in 2011 The Artist came out and that's a musical in a way. Yeah, and that movie was trash, and that movie should not have won Best Picture. But
I agree, and our podcast platform is the best place to trash it. What I'm saying is I think that La La Land brought to the table something that nothing else had. Like it is such a still is such a fresh outlook on a musical, and I agree. It's a beautiful blending of the three like performance entertainments: music, like cinema, and Broadway musicals, plays. And it's a cinematic expression of music and stage acting. Like
I was gonna say it's almost like a complementary form of like film acting, like screen acting and theater acting.
Which brings me to one film that I saw that I forgot to mention, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which is really similar to La La Land in that sense.
It's a musical?
Ma Rainey's Black Bottom was a Broadway musical that they brought to film, and it maintains so much of that musical feel, just like La La Land.
But not in the sense of like people singing their thoughts and conversations.
No.
Okay.
No. But there is music. You know what I mean?
Okay, I see. Yeah,
it's like a cinematic expression of musical and stage acting. Like it's really, really good. And this type of film is another one of those that I would consider to just be pure entertainment. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it's so pure. Pure is the best word I can think about it. Like it feels so raw to me. The way La La Land works is so approachable, and it's so like, you know, I mean, there is beautiful cinematography, but even down to the film texture that's on what we see, it just feels so real. You know what I mean? Like everything feels so, I don't know, lifelike, tangible. It feels so.
No, yeah. I guess what I was saying with all that is that like I told you that I was like dreading this episode just because of like my love-hate relationship with this movie. I love the film itself, but I hate the over-adoringness of everybody towards it. Is just like infuriating to me.
I can get that.
So it is a little bit difficult for me to like separate those two, and I'm trying my best. But no, I love this movie so much. The story itself, I love what Chazelle did, the decisions he made in the story itself, and like what the characters do. I love it. Perfect to me. I love the technicality of the film. Everything about it, like the whip shots, the whip pans, they're incredible. Like
whip pans.
It's just
opening
the way
sequence.
The opening sequence, which I'll get to in a sec. But like what you were saying about even First Man, like where he's able to like have this cadence to it. It's so in Whiplash he had that as well, but with La La Land it's so much more because it is a straightforward like musical. He's so much like able to fully immerse himself in a world where he can totally play with the technicality of the film,
total freedom
in conjunction with the music in the film, and really be playful with it and make it work. Because in a musical like this, in a straightforward musical like this, it's so fantastical, you know, like you have to be able to, as an audience member, let go of those like grounding things in a film. And it really is like you can go to LA and look at the sky for the next 20 years and you're not going to see a sky like that, like the way the film portrays it every single night, you know. And it's so there is the way he's able to like incorporate that fantastical element with the music and the technicality of the film and the way it was shot and the story itself, the characters, everything just flows so incredibly well together. I love it. I really do love this movie. But go ahead.
No, it's pretty incredible. I mean, editing for this took almost an entire year. After filming and everything was finished, he and the main editor spent almost a year editing it down because I don't know. I love that hands-on, and I don't actually know what a normal filmmaker's process looks like. Like, we know that there's film editors and we know that there's filmmakers, but do you think that the director has like as much control over the editing process or as much hands on, like, not control, but like,
I think it depends on the director, right?
Like, do you think Scorsese spends all of his time out on like location filming, and then once that's over, he spends every day in editing too?
I don't think so for Scorsese. I think Scorsese is much more hands off when it comes to post-production, only because of like the magnitude of films he makes. That man is always working, and he's always got like 2 or 3 films coming out per year, whether it's like a straight up like film or it's like a documentary, or he's always got something in the works, always. And so for somebody of that to be working so consistently like that, there's no way that he spends that much time in the editing, in an editing suite. So I think when it comes to somebody like Scorsese, I think what he does is more like hands free, gives the job to the editor. The editor comes up with something, he comes in, checks it, makes tweaks to it, like tells the editor what to do. But somebody like Nolan, I think Nolan is so hands-on with the editing process. I think Nolan is behind the editor, watching him do.
That's a hard thing for me though, because Nolan films are so technical in the sense of editing. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the editor in those is.
Sorry, I'm gonna go on a tangent, so I'm not going to. I'm
okay, stop but then I hear about people like Barry Jenkins and Damien Chazelle, who have hands on the editing process, but their films are so approachable and down to earth. Do you think it's because like a Jenkins film and a Chazelle film have their own like stamp? Like, when you see something that Damien Chazelle made, you know that it was him. Like how it looks, how it feels, in the cadence that we talked about. Same thing with Barry Jenkins. Like, I watched If Beale Street Could Talk and I've seen Moonlight, and those two are so unforgettably Barry Jenkins films. Like, you know that those are Barry Jenkins movies, just like you know that First Man and La La Land and Whiplash even are Damien Chazelle movies. Do you think that's because of their hands-on approach to?
I do. I think when it comes to those two that you mentioned, they're so unlike Scorsese, somebody like Scorsese, because Scorsese wants to. I feel like Scorsese has so many ideas that he wants to work on. And so the only way to do that is to trust other people to get those things done, or else he's going to be working on those things for years and decades even. So somebody like Nolan, who can write a script for 10 years and sit on it, tweaking it, and release one movie every 5 years. And I think Barry Jenkins and Damien Chazelle, they work a little faster than Nolan do in that sense. But I think they do have this like personal thing when they're working on their scripts. I think they have this personal thing when they're working on their films, and they make it so personal that they want to be a part of every moment.
You said something pretty specific there, like, and that it's something that got me thinking. Barry Jenkins wrote If Beale Street Could Talk and Moonlight, and Damien Chazelle wrote La La Land, Whiplash, First Man. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe these projects
Scorsese
are
doesn't
theirs.
write, I don't think.
Well, I mean, he's written a couple things, but nothing.
Yeah, but
like
not. It's not like a.
those that we think about, like
It's not his calling
Silence and
card.
Shutter Island. Those aren't
Right.
like the. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe Damien Chazelle and Barry Jenkins birthed these ideas, and then they birthed the directorial ship, and they've got to see it through.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Dude,
it's interesting to me going back to Chazelle, because he's such an intriguing filmmaker, like with his history, because he's a writer. He writes.
Yep.
And there's been some films of his that he wrote or co-wrote, and he did not direct. So like I know that there's a couple of, I think there's 2 films that he co-wrote with some other guys. I have it pulled up here. Let me just look at it. The Last Exorcism Part 2, that was him. He co-wrote that.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I don't see him in that at all. Like his fingerprints really aren't on that. So I'm sure he did some minor things. I don't think it was totally came from him. Where the same thing with like 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Right. I think we talked about this in another episode.
Yeah, I think we did. I think 10 Cloverfield Lane, you can probably pick out some things with Chazelle. There is a sense of almost like immediacy, just like you have in his films. Yeah. There's always like a sense of like something needs to happen right away. Like there's a timeline.
Right.
So I think maybe he probably worked on that more. But there's a movie called Grand Piano.
Yep.
Starring what's the guy that did Frodo in Lord of the Rings?
Yes, Elijah Wood.
Where Elijah Wood plays this like a concert pianist who is having a hard time. I think he's got some sort of like ADHD or something like that, and he has a hard time with like this certain piano, and it's basically there's an assassin, and I think there's something hidden in the piano.
Wow.
It's a really
this
like
out it's really confusing.
It's really out of the box. It's not an incredible film, but there's something about the film that is so charming. And not charming like La La Land, where it's like everything's happy and blissful. Charming in like the filmmaking itself and the storyline. John Cusack plays the assassin, and I have a soft spot for John Cusack.
I know.
So, but anyways, he wrote that one by himself. It's like a solo screenwriting project that he worked on, and it wasn't directed by him. And I almost wonder what that film could have been if he did direct it. But at the same time,
really
like I said,
like him.
That's what I'm saying. Like it doesn't sound like a project that he would work on. So I don't know if maybe it was just like an idea he had and he wrote it and
you know what this sounds like?
Sold it.
This sounds like that movie with Sandra Bullock in the bus. Yeah, dude.
Speed?
Yeah, this sounds like
what?
Speed.
What are you talking?
Let me read the description.
For Speed?
A pianist with stage fright endures a performance under the eyes of a mysterious sniper who's going to kill him if he plays the wrong note.
Yeah.
That sounds like Speed, dude. That guy with the detonator or whatever, if they go over a certain speed, they're dead. Tornado.
Oh, or if they go below a certain speed.
Yeah. Same thing with Willem Dafoe in Speed 2 and The Boat. Willem the Boat.
No, let's just wipe Speed 2 out of our memory. There's a reason why Keanu Reeves didn't make that movie.
I think that was Willem Dafoe's best.
Shut up.
That was the peak of his career, dude.
Shut up.
Last Temptation of Christ.
I didn't even remember he was in that. Just oh man. Hey, Speed is a good movie.
Yeah, Speed's a good movie.
I think I'm gonna try to watch that in the next week or so.
Yeah, I haven't seen Speed. The only time I've ever seen Speed, I watched it on daytime television when I was younger. I was homeschooled, so a lot of daytime TV for me. Judge Mathis and Judge Judy.
Maury.
Yep. What's that show where those guys, it's like Blind Date or whatever? Blind Date?
Yeah, I've heard.
Old show. You go out on a date and these people are like
your parents set them up or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, wife swap. A lot of wife swap for me.
God, I hate daytime television. Also, watching a movie on daytime television is the worst. The commercials are terrible.
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
I was actually talking to my wife about this. Like, I don't remember the last time I watched a commercial.
Oh, my father-in-law actually just got our local network provider offers a streaming option now instead of like cable. So he just got that and we put it on our Apple TV, and my wife is watching she's watching cable television
all the
as
time.
we speak. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, I don't remember the last time I watched like commercials other than the Super Bowl or like YouTube ads, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is,
anyways,
it's bonkers, isn't it?
It's so
a lot
crazy.
of good commercials out these days. Maybe we should do a season on commercials. No, probably
maybe
not.
on trailers though.
No, not a bad idea.
No, maybe an episode.
La La Land is so, like we were talking, it's so technically strong. Like not only does like the cinematography look really good, but the approaches that they take to make it look like the time period they're trying to echo and resemble is so well done. You know, like it wasn't shot in CinemaScope, but it was shot as close to CinemaScope as that could be. You know what I mean? Like the technical approach that they made to make it look like that was amazing. I mean, the lighting effects that they have, incredible.
I was going to say that, yeah. There's a lot of like in-camera like technical work done to make that come out the way it did. And it works. Everything's great about it.
Absolutely.
It definitely puts you in an era of like, I feel like if you come into this movie not caring about jazz, you would walk away caring about jazz.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
a lot of practical stuff. Like I really appreciate that there's no like digital effects. It's all practical lighting, practical color, practical camera effects. Like those whip pans, those are all done on like
the dolly
physically
ups and all that stuff is done with like huge cranes. I've seen
my
them
wife actually cued us in on a lot of like reverse stuff in the movie.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Like that whole shoot. The observatory, the whole planetarium scene, like half of that is shot in reverse. Yeah. Which is super cool. I mean,
it really is
a lot of technical stuff that makes.
But I almost wonder why
film,
like
why it's shot in reverse.
Yeah, like
I think it's
what is it that Chazelle like saw that maybe needed to be done in reverse to give a different feeling to the scene, or was it because there was something technically not able to be done in forward motion that they had to shoot in reverse?
Well, have you ever seen Hail
Caesar?
Or
maybe it's both. Yes.
You've seen Hail Caesar?
Yeah,
the Coen Brothers mountaintop performance.
We mentioned it last episode.
Go ahead. Yeah, that's right. Did we? What was the last episode about? Oh, it was a Coen Brothers movie.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, when Scarlett Johansson's character is first introduced, that's reverse.
That was for sure, because there's no way she would have got like
and I think that's the reason why. Like, I was actually really curious about that, so I got kind of like reverse like twitchy, so I started looking up stuff that was shot in reverse. There's just smoothness to it that can't be replicated. There's just this,
unless you blink.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But there's this kind of like butteriness to like someone sitting into, or someone being risen out of their seat and then that being reversed to be
it looks different. It's like
it's so much less choppy.
It's a lightness to it. Yeah.
And I think that because in that planetarium scene, that's the whole part that's reversed is the moment where they
around
sit,
and things like that,
where they sit back down into their seats and then they kiss like that. Sense. That's all. And I stuff like that, when you know it after the fact, you have so much more appreciation for it, you know, like when you see it on screen, you're like, yes, this is magical. But when you think about the thought that goes into it down to the minute detail of how is this going to look the best and look the most magical, which I mean, think about it just in general, like the last scene, for instance, when they're going through that montage, that is so magical. And that is all practical. It's all like, I don't know.
It does have that feeling like a fantastical, like it's a fantasy world that they're living.
And that last bit is like the perfect. I mean, that is stage acting. You know, like that is like a play, but because everything's being done through the scope of a camera, you have so much more flexibility. You know what I mean? Like it makes people who appreciate stage acting and stage performance so much feel vindicated almost. Yeah. Because it's such an echo to that.
But it really is that kind of like, I think it has to do with that sense of it is a straightforward musical where like people are singing their thoughts, they're singing their conversations with each other. So I think the only way for that to work, like outside of theater, it has to be in a musical. There's no other way to make that, like, you know, even like the way Emma Stone like mouths her words and things like that. Obviously they're lip syncing in there and throughout the film, but like even then, like the way the movement of her lips and things like that, those are things that are so like theatrical, like theatrical,
right?
That I don't think would ever work in a sense of like a straightforward film.
Yep.
With a linear plot story, you know what I mean? So,
right.
It definitely, well, I think,
yeah, and that's the difference, right? Like,
yeah. I think that's hands down as far as like straightforward musicals go, because yes, Chazelle has done music, like Whiplash was a musical, but it's not a musical in the sense that this is. Right. It's like a theatrical musical with musical numbers and things like that. As far as like what Chazelle has done here, this is probably in my top 5
of his work,
like musical films. I don't think he has 5 films.
No, I'm like, yikes! Very generous of you. Yeah, I mean, let's go through them. What do we got? Moulin Rouge has to be up there.
Moulin Rouge is, yeah. I don't know where number 1 is, but
The Greatest Showman has got to be in there.
No, I don't. Yikes. I have a bad experience with The Greatest Showman. It has nothing to do with the movie. I actually never finished the movie, so.
Yes.
I'll tell y'all some other time.
We'll all sit in awe as we wait for you to finish that story.
I will not finish that story.
Okay.
But I think Moulin Rouge for sure. It's one of my favorite musicals of all time. I love Moulin Rouge.
Newsies.
Newsies is a good one. That's a good one. I wasn't thinking about
movie.
But no, definitely not. But I was thinking of Dancing in the Rain. Like I love Fred Astaire. I love that era of
Singing in the Rain.
Which coming back to La La Land is I love that Chazelle is able to like pick those moments and honor like that era of like musical films. It's so good.
Yeah, Casablanca.
Casablanca's not a musical.
No, I'm talking about like.
Oh, you're talking about just like that era of film and stuff.
Classic film that he.
We've mentioned. I think I've mentioned before that Barry Jenkins is like this like film historian in a way. He very much prides himself in like all this knowledge he has of like past films and the history of film and Hollywood. And I think Chazelle is just another one of those.
Absolutely. And I think there's something to be said about that, because Barry Jenkins is an up and coming, and so is Chazelle. Like, even though his stuff has been big hits so far, I'd still consider them, dude. Ari Aster, up and coming, and so is Robert Eggers, and those guys are film historians. Like, those guys cherish the knowledge of cinema, and I think that there's something to be said about a new generation of filmmaker who honors people like Scorsese, who paved the way, who are making film history. And when you have people like him as filmmaking idols, you can't help but be like, when Ingmar Bergman is your inspiration. You have to be a historian. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you have to know where we came from to get to where we are now. And like our sci-fi season scratched the surface of that. But like I think there's something to be said about that for sure. And especially when people like Barry Jenkins and Damien Chazelle are making films specifically to echo that last century of filmmaking that we've seen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think Chazelle knocks it out of the park. I mentioned that I wanted to go back to the intro.
Right.
I think what he does with the intro is very interesting, because he does land us into this moment in the film where he's like, I need to make sure that you know what you're in for. And like, you have this whole dance and musical number on a highway.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's such a, I've said this word so many times already, but it's such a fantastical element to the film, and it lands you in like, this is what the tone of the film is. You have to know what you're getting into,
right?
And that's what it is. And I think he does really well with that.
Yeah, I do too.
I think I have one of those like smallest flaws to me in the film is almost comes off the back of that intro, because I feel like he sets the tone. He sets the tone of the film there in the intro. Like, this is what you're getting yourself into. But I don't think the film ever like matches that tone. Like, that's that's the highest part. I think the film actually tones itself down the farther it goes, the longer it goes. Which I'm okay with.
Well, it's craft, if you ask me, because they're everything about it is toned back. Like it's almost like these.
I think the more I think about it,
like we're talking about these two artists that are losing their flame for what they care for because of the relationship that they're in. You know, we're talking about artists that sacrifice for other people, and then at the end, that fire comes back because they. Like, I think that's craftsmanship.
I take it back. I said flaw.
You better.
I said flaw, but I think the film doesn't work if it's just whimsical and fantastical the entire time. It needs to be somewhat grounded so that we can relate to the characters. For it to work, to really work. For us to even like, I think there's two kinds of people in the world: the people that love the ending of the film, the people that hate it. And I think, regardless of the person you are, the film doesn't work if it's whimsical.
Absolutely,
it doesn't work if it's just fantastical the entire time. So
absolutely,
I think I agree with you. Just as I was like saying that out, I think I changed my perspective on it.
But thank you for apologizing.
But this still is not my favorite. It still is not my favorite Chazelle film. I think Whiplash is farther.
Yeah,
as a much better film.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's
that's a mountain to climb though.
That's
a masterpiece.
I mean, even. I have to rewatch First Man. I haven't rewatched it since I saw it in theater. I love First Man. You didn't like it?
No, I love it. I'm like the biggest Neil Armstrong fan who lives on the planet. But I thought it was great. But that after Whiplash and La La Land, it's just not.
I don't know. I think coming out of La La Land, especially with like how much I didn't love this movie because of the surrounding elements that had nothing to do with the movie itself. I think because of that, I wanted so much to see Chazelle do something that had nothing to do with music.
You got your wish, my friend.
So when he did First Man, I was very intrigued, and I think much so, I think the feeling I got out of First Man was so much more prominent than in his other two films. I think Whiplash is his best film because of what he was able to do and accomplish with that film, with the characters, the emotion of the characters, the physicality of it, the really like there's just like this like sense of emotion throughout the entire film in those two characters and their conflict. And La La Land, what he does there with as a straight up musical is incredible as well. But the emotional journey I got out of First Man was so much more prominent for me. And I think it's one of those movies that I know that we're supposed to be talking about La La Land, but I think First Man is one of those movies that I will like revisit so many times when I'm a dad.
Sure.
Like when I become a father.
Absolutely.
I think it's going to be a movie that I go back to constantly.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of emotional exposition there for sure. I mean, it's really well done. I just don't think, I don't know. There's something to be said about the craft in La La Land that just sets it apart for me. You know what I mean? Like Whiplash is the best he's done. There's no question about that. And I think every single person is going to agree on that. Like Whiplash is the best movie he's made. But I think La La Land comes in second just because of the sheer feat of it. You know what I mean? Like what he sets out to do and how he accomplishes it is spectacular. It's not lighthearted all the way through, but it gives you a passion for entertainment. It gives you a passion for the industry. It gives you a passion for film history, like cinema history. I can
agree with you there. I think just like personally, it's not my favorite. I think it would be
I get you.
Whiplash, First Man. Just personally.
Guy and Madeline on a park bench and then La La Land last.
Grand Piano and then La La Land.
Yeah, Grand Piano, 10 Cloverfield Lane, and then La La Land after that. Man. Yeah. I mean, First Man, spectacular. There's no question. But anyway, I don't know. What we set out to do in this episode, I want to say that we've accomplished it. You feel me, dog?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've gotten a little bit more appreciation for La La Land.
since we started
talking it out with you. Yeah, because like we watched this together when you were here. We watched La La Land,
right? Yes.
And the entire time I'm like, I can appreciate what I'm watching, but at the same time, like I was dreading this conversation. But I think I actually garnered more appreciation for it as we've talked. So
yeah,
and I'm fine with it.
Good for you, because we didn't even talk about the lighting and the how color relays emotion throughout the whole thing.
No, yeah,
it's
a beautiful shot film, and I think you actually touched on it with how he always relates back to like the era that he was being inspired for this film,
right?
And I think it really does, like everything in it, including the lighting, and even like there's this almost like translucent softness to the film itself.
We talked about that, a glow almost.
Yeah, that's just lovely.
Yeah. I think so too. It's just so well done. Like to be able to feel with those characters as they're understanding what they're feeling is it's just so well done how he does that. Like we talked about this when we watched it together, but those minute pauses that the characters have as like that's so natural. Like we think about that, how like
we don't see a lot of that in film. Like if you watch an Aaron Sorkin film, you're not going to get that at all, which is also not how we talk in real life. Really.
Exactly. Aaron Sorkin's screenplays are so quick. They're so fast paced, which nobody's arguing that Sorkin's not one of the best writers.
No, I was going to say like the kind of story that he tells, like it has to be that way because they're so involved and so detailed that you need to, or else it'd be like a 5-hour movie.
Yeah, but you watched Trial of Chicago 7, right?
Yeah, really great.
We talked about that the last episode.
So I don't think so. I think it was a couple episodes back.
I gotcha.
But
yeah.
Wow, yeah. He's a great screenwriter, but somebody like him versus somebody like what's it called? Marriage Story guy.
Noah Baumbach.
Yeah. The way he writes is like the opposite of Aaron Sorkin. Right. They're like the characters are talking over each other. It's like it's how dialogue a lot of times is in true life. Yes. So it's very
so
different.
Funny you say that because I would consider Marriage Story and La La Land to have a really similar effect, like a really similar not rhythm but just a feel, like how it's so down to earth film. You know what I mean?
I love what you mentioned earlier in this episode where you said about how the cadence, you were talking about First Man, but I mean, even if you look at La La Land before we're talking about the dialogue with the pauses, there is a cadence to what music brings, because in music, you can't just be here the entire time, right? In a song that gets boring. There is a flow to it. There's ups and downs. There's going to be ebbs, there's going to be a silence. There's going to be a rise in music and that brings emotion. And I think when you look at the dialogue and even the way it's filmed, there are those moments of like stillness. There's moments
that stillness, that silence is a sign of feeling. Like my wife and I were actually just talking about this today, like taking those and I felt this in a way in Sound of Metal, but like that silence is emotion. That when even in Marriage Story, the script is it's
chaotic.
It's really an interstate. It's chaotic, but there's also those moments of silence because those characters are feeling such strong feelings. Like that is such a raw film in the sense of like you said it the best. That screenplay is written as if someone is experiencing that in front of our eyes. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like someone had a life to follow and wrote the screenplay out as someone was living. You know what I mean? It's so natural. It's so pure. It's so raw. La La Land is like that in a subdued kind of way.
Yeah.
Like the scene that just keeps coming back into my mind as far as this is concerned is when Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone are sitting down. He's prepared that fancy dinner. The lights are green outside. And that's the moment when he says he's going to continue his tour.
Yeah.
She has this like earth-shattering pause when he says something and there is nothing. The record's stopped in the background and all we hear is that sound that when the needle is at that blank part of the vinyl and it's just spinning.
Yeah.
And she's feeling, her eyes are glistening and it's like, you've now embodied Ryan Gosling. You know what I mean? You're feeling what he's feeling because he knows that what he said has created this emotion in the opposing character. And it's
beautiful.
Unhinged. Yeah. It's great. Anyway, so First Man sucks and La La Land is awesome.
Chazelle, man, how can you be 31 and just like be almost like a master at your craft already?
Yeah, sort of win Best Picture and like, good for him, dude. Honestly, all of his films have been nominated for an Oscar so far, except for Guy and Madeline, and that one doesn't really count.
And Grand Piano.
That's true. But Whiplash, the short film won at whatever film festival it was at, Sundance or TIFF or whatever it was. And then the feature film was nominated for Best Picture. La La Land was nominated for Best Picture, and First Man was nominated for Best Picture.
I knew about the other two, but I didn't know Whiplash was nominated for Best Picture. Wow.
Yeah, dude, man. I remember the year Whiplash came out. We went and saw it. Just jaw dropped.
Yeah,
I thought that was one of the best thing I had ever seen.
I remember you were very much a hype man for that movie.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah. Anyway, Damien Chazelle, man, how can you be 31 and just dropping gold nuggets out of your bum like this?
Well, I don't think he's 31 anymore. When did they come out? 2016?
Was he 31 when it came out?
Yeah, so I think he's 34 now. 35.
Dude, 34? 35? He's 35.
Yeah.
Providence, Rhode Island. Yeah. Anyway,
well,
yep, it was nice talking to you about this, my friend. We've talked about what we saw already this week. Anything else new with you?
I think this week I'm gonna try. I just got. So my mother-in-law gifted me a Criterion Collection gift card.
Yeah.
So I got the Tree of Life and Thin Red Line. I think I'm gonna watch both of those this week.
There you go.
We can kind of hit on it next time we talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I actually got what was Silence of the Lambs lately. My Criterion collection's just exploding here. Silence of the Lambs, The Irishman I got for my Christmas gift. The Irishman and Parasite were both Christmas gifts.
Nice.
And then Roma was the newest edition.
Roma is a great movie.
Roma. Gosh. Hey, Alfonso Cuarón. That was him, right?
I believe so, right?
Speaking of Alfonso Cuarón,
or is it
we're watching Harry Potter. Didn't he do he did Prisoner of Azkaban?
Was it him or was it Inarritu?
I always get the two confused. I always get them confused. Now I gotta clear up the air before Alejandro gets on. Yeah. I hope he doesn't watch our show. Or I hope he does. And
he hasn't done anything else lately, right? Other than after Roma.
Dude, who was it? It was Alfonso Cuarón. Dude, up me. Gosh.
Did he do
Roma?
Prisoner of Azkaban? Yeah, he did.
Yeah. I also think he did the sixth one. Men. I said that when we talked last
episode. Yeah.
And it was who was it? It was Emmanuel Lubezki was his.
I love Lubezki.
Lubezki wasn't the DP for Roma though, was he?
No. Cuarón was.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. He did everything, I think, in that.
Oh,
other than
man.
some production credits. Yeah.
Hey,
or music. I don't think he did music.
Talk about this. Criterion is following the curve because Marriage Story is now in the collection, The Irishman, and Roma. And those are all Netflix films. Dude, good for Netflix. Good for Netflix.
Well, yeah. They're putting out, they're getting like solid people to work on solid films. Do you think Netflix is still in just a massive amount of debt? Or do you think they've gotten out of that now? I'm sure they still are. They put so much money toward production stuff. So
it seems that way.
I love that. It's so funny to me because a year or two ago, the Academy was not granting nominations to films that were only streamed.
Right.
And then so like Netflix found a loophole by also putting movies out on theaters that they felt like had a chance at the Oscars. But with COVID, I mean, everything pretty much was streamed. Yeah. So like they don't have a choice.
Right. Roma was the first Netflix film to be nominated, right?
I believe so.
Yep. And then Marriage Story and then The Irishman was nominated as well.
Yeah.
Dude, talk about
I think Netflix had a couple other ones before those, but
did they?
Roma was the first one to win for sure.
Dude, I don't know. I think Roma might be the first.
I think Netflix was able to get a couple nominated, but it was for like other
shorts.
It was for other like it wasn't for best film or
I got you.
Best picture. But also, Manchester by the Sea was Amazon Prime.
Yep, that's what
film.
I was about. Yep,
but I think that was also that was released in theaters before it went to Prime itself. So.
Well, Prime produced it, or Amazon produced it though.
No, right, but I think it was released in theaters before it was ever put on Prime. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? Before it was put on
I see
streaming.
what you're saying. Yeah.
So I think that's how they got around the loophole.
Let's talk about
streaming.
these streaming services and their production stuff. Like these companies, HBO, Netflix, and Amazon, they're just making incredible stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of hard though. I feel like you know how I am with some like ethical issues and things like that. So
no, I'm not sure.
So when it comes to like a film like I'm not 100% sure on this, but the trailer I watched of Nomadland, she works for Amazon at one point. So I'm assuming that Amazon produced the film. I'm not 100% sure on that. I'll check later.
Who works for Amazon? Frances McDormand's character?
Yes, yeah. In the trailer, she's working for Amazon at one point.
That's an HBO movie.
It's an HBO movie? Nomadland?
Nomadland, yeah.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
So there you go. Because like I wonder how like because I obviously there are for lack of a better term to come full circle lack of a better word there are some woke directors out there that will not work with certain companies because of like their ethical or moral issues, right? Like how you see warehouse workers with Amazon or across the globe and things like that. So,
I see what you're saying.
But here you have it, like films like Manchester by the Sea, produced by Amazon, which is an incredible film. Incredible film. And there's more, but I can't think of anything right now. Excuse me, I'm like hiccuping my life away over here. But yeah,
dude, never mind. It's a Fox Searchlight.
Ooh, I thought that went out of like
I did too.
Maybe that's one of their last films then.
Dude, you know what that means? That means that Nomadland is actually a Disney movie. So I wonder if it's going to be streaming on Disney Plus.
Doubt it. Hey, our next episode, we are talking about Kingdom of Heaven.
Yes. Yeah. Who was that was Kingdom of Heaven. That was
Orlando Bloom.
No, who directed that? That was
Ridley Scott.
Right. Yeah. Dude, I think that's going to be our third Ridley Scott movie to talk about. Blade Runner, Alien, and
yep. There you go. Third one.
We didn't even mention in our sci-fi episode that this last year was the 30th anniversary of Total Recall. Do you know how I know that? Because I go to the store and there's like 30th anniversary versions of Total Recall everywhere, and I'm like, how could we, film enthusiasts,
we mentioned. We mentioned that a couple years ago was the 40th anniversary of Alien.
Blade Runner.
Alien.
Anyway,
we talked about how like they made those short films.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah,
I don't know how to end this episode.
Neither do I. Jwow,
I'm gonna go watch.
You're a close friend of mine.
Heaven.
Yeah, you're a close friend of mine, and I hold you dearly. And I always appreciate having these small talks with you. I also appreciate the big talks that we have, but I really appreciate these recorded small talks.
The recorded ones.
Yes.
The ones that we do off record.
Yeah, we should do 235 off record, like a late night series.
Well, we can say.
Yes, exactly. And just so you know, those will be beeped in post. So don't worry. My mom's watching. So anyway, Jwow, I love you, friend.
Hey, love you too, man.
Stay rowdy.
I guess. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
See you next time.
Yeah. Until next time. Doodly doo.